James Hoffmann, Lance Hedrick, World Barista Champion, World Latte Art Champion. And we have me, just a coffee guy doing coffee. Let's find out who can brew a better cup of coffee. Hey guys, welcome back to the Majestic Bean channel. Today we're gonna have a lot of fun because we are comparing two V60 recipes from two well-respected individuals within the coffee community. We have James Hoffmann and Lance Hedrick, both very famous YouTubers who are educating us home baristas on how to make better coffee at home. So before we begin with this video, I just wanna say that I'm a huge fan of both of these individuals and I follow their YouTube content every time they post a new video. The way this video is gonna work is I'm gonna brew 2 cups of pour over using the V60 brewer, using James Hoffmann's method and using Lance Hedrick's method. James Hoffmann is saying he has the ultimate V60 technique. Lance Hedrick, on the other hand, is saying he has the only V60 recipe you'll ever need. I'll include links to both of these videos in the description below, and I'll also have the little banners pop up while I'm making each individual recipe. So let's get on to brewing and see which one tastes best. So let's start off by doing Hoffmann's recipe first. I'll be using a washed Kenyan coffee. This is actually the first time I've ever tried a washed Kenyan coffee, and I must say it's delicious. So I have my kettle here with water. I have my notes on my phone to follow Hoffmann's recipe, and if you want to watch his full video, you can click the banner over here. I'll start by weighing out 15 grams of coffee, and the recipe calls for 15 grams of coffee to 250 grams of water, or what he's saying is his video, it's 60 grams of coffee to a liter of water. So we have 15 grams. Today I'm using my J-Max manual grinder and I'm gonna set it up on 240 clicks. And if you haven't watched our J-Max review, you can click the banner over here and watch that. There we go. A little spray. I love this grinder. This grinder is so fast. It's literally 30 seconds and boom, you're ready to go. It's probably faster than the Barista Encore as well, which is very interesting. There we go, all done. So if you want to know about the grind size, I'm using a pretty fine grind here. It's definitely finer than most people will use for a pour over. So that's interesting because you are extracting more because you're grinding finer. And since I'm using a light roasted coffee, I'm gonna bring the water up to boil and brew with as much hot water as possible. So that's cool as well, because that will also bump up the extraction. 15.1 grams. That's good enough. Now it's very important to make a little divot inside the coffee bed, so you are helping the grounds get evenly saturated when blooming the coffee. So I have my kettle over here with water at around 98 degrees, and the recipe calls for a bloom of twice the size of the coffee dose. So I have 15 grams of coffee and I'm gonna do a 30-gram bloom for around 30 to 45 seconds. I'm gonna do 30 seconds. 30 grams. We're gonna swirl rigorously. And now the second pour is also the final pour. It's just divided in 2 stages. We're gonna pour 60% of the brewing water within the first 30 seconds, and then the rest of the water within the next 30 seconds. So I need to pour until 160 exactly at 1 minute, and then we continue the pour, this time with a slower flow rate, until we arrive at the final point, which is 250 grams of water. So the pouring should be done at 1 minute 30. On the dot, 1 minute 30. Now we take the spoon, quick swirl with the spoon to detach any grounds that are attached to the paper, basically, to the filter paper. And then once the water arrives at halfway of the V60 brewer, we're gonna do a little swirl. Here we are, halfway through. Just a little swirl. And that's it. This will enable a flat, even coffee bed once the water has passed through the coffee. And that is an indicator of an even extraction. At the moment, we're at 2 minutes 20 seconds. This brew should end at around 3 minutes, 3 minutes 10, which is also what the recipe calls for. And you can also experiment with an even finer grind to bump up the extraction even more. And James is also saying that you should grind as fine as possible, and then once you notice choking, you should just dial it down a bit to a bit coarser until it tastes just right. There we go. 3 minutes 5 seconds, the brew is done. It's basically 1:16 ratio, 15 grams of coffee to 250 grams of water. Now for Hedrick's recipe, we're also going to dose 15 grams of the same coffee, but we will have to grind a bit coarser than before. Hedrick suggests that we need to use a grind size of 720 microns, but let's say you don't have a ground coffee measurer at home. You could just print one of these Kruve Brevlers that you can find online by just Googling Kruve Brevler printable version. And it's basically just a piece of paper with some dots on the bottom that allows you to just put it on the table and then put the ground coffee next to it and find the perfect size, or at least find which ground size coffee you're using for whatever method you are brewing. So he's saying 720 microns, and for that I need to adjust my Jmax to 265 clicks. So at the moment I'm at 240, so I'm just gonna go 20 more. This time we're gonna be even faster than before. Hedrick's recipe calls for 1:17 ratio, so that's gonna be 15 grams of coffee to 255 grams of water. And you're gonna see how interesting his technique is, because it's quite different to Hoffmann's. What we're basically gonna do is have 2 blooms with this technique, and both of those blooms will be a bit over twice the size of the dose. So we're gonna do 40 for the first time, wait 30 seconds, 40 grams of water again, wait 30 seconds, and then the rest of the water will be divided by 2, and in between we'll do 30 seconds pause as well. So it's 4 pours. The first 2 are the same size and the second 2 are the same size. And you also don't need to swirl around with the kettle, which makes this technique ideal for a normal kettle such as this one, because you're just pouring coffee. You'll see it's gonna be fun. So this technique can be used with any kettle. You don't need to buy a fancy gooseneck one. Same as before, a little divot or whatever it's called for even saturation. Okay, so we're doing 40, 40, and then pour the rest in 2. 40, I'm gonna swirl. Gotta swirl a lot. Then we'll wait until 30 seconds. Then we're gonna pour another 40 until 80. There we go. Swirl again. And wait until the minute mark. And then we're just gonna pour very fast just off center from the coffee bed and fill up the brewer with 165 grams of water. This is very fast. There we go. Do a little swirl. Wait 30 seconds. Repeat again. This time we're pouring until 255. And wait until the drawdown. Should happen at around the 3-minute mark as well. Maybe a bit longer, we'll see. I did found that Hedrick's method chokes more than Hoffmann's method for some reason. Maybe just the coffee, but who knows. Maybe it's also because it's 4 pours compared to Hoffmann's method that's only 2 pours, just a bloom and then a second long pour. The thing is, you might say, maybe you should just grind coarser. But the thing is, it doesn't help. I tried. It's probably just the coffee, maybe just the multiple pours, who knows. But no matter what I tried, I went all the way up to 280 clicks on the JMax, and it was still choking towards the end. So grinding coarse is definitely not the solution. All right, there we go, we're done. 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which is not actually bad, because in his video, Lance is saying that it should take around 3 minutes to 3:30, you know, so it's all good. And I'll just put everything on the side and we'll try these coffees now. Here we are. We're gonna find out who is the brewing barista champion of the world. I have a feeling they're both gonna taste nice, but let's see. So this one is the coffee brewed with the method by Lance Hedrick. This is James Hoffmann's method. And this is just some water towards the spoon. Very sweet, well balanced, no bitterness at all. Slightly less acidity than I'm used to when I tried this coffee before. So it's kind of interesting. Let's see James Hoffmann. A ton of acidity right here. Good one though. Like, this is very crisp. I'd say like an orange zest, sweetness, acidity, and bitterness at the same time. It's basically like drinking orange essential oil. So it's very pleasant, it's very nice. Sweet as well. No unpleasant bitterness. Wow, such a huge difference considering the fact that these 2 cups are literally the same coffee. You know, so this just shows how much the method you're using is affecting the taste of your coffee. So this one, very sweet, a bit less acidity than I'd like. And this one is just ton of acidity. It's fucking crazy. At the moment, these 2 coffees are at a perfect drinking temperature, probably around 65 degrees. I must say that I'm getting also an interesting aftertaste from this cup, which is very pleasant. It has a nice body to it. So as soon as you taste the coffee, all of that sweetness, that pleasant orange acidity hits you, a bit of bitterness from that peel, and then straight away after that, a nice body on your tongue, which feels great. This cup, on the other hand, is a bit lighter, which is also to be expected because we brewed 15 grams of coffee to 250 grams of water here, whereas this one is 15 to 255. So maybe that extra 5 grams of water might be noticeable because this is a more diluted cup of coffee as well. And also you need to consider the fact that we used a much finer grind here compared to Hedrick's method, which we used a bit of a coarser ground coffee. So all of these things play a big role in the coffee taste, basically. In my opinion, this method might work better for heavier coffees with much more body, less acidity, something maybe like a nice Brazilian coffee, you know, or maybe dark roasted coffee, you know, because then you're not looking for acidity in the first place, right? You're looking for that sweetness and so on. So maybe this method, Lance Hedrick's method, would work better for those types of coffees. Whereas with this Kenyan, for example, a washed Kenyan, right? High elevation coffee with tons of acidity, tons of sweetness. I think Hoffmann's method really complements the tasting notes and the coffee overall and its origin compared to using Hedrick's method. Both coffees taste good though. If I had to choose which cup tastes better, I would definitely choose this cup, Hoffmann's cup, than Lance's cup. But this is just my opinion, guys. So I think what you need to do now is probably brew 2 cups using both methods and see which one you prefer, because depending on the coffee you're using, you might prefer Lance's method over Hoffmann's method and vice versa. So I'm just curious to see what you guys prefer, and also let me know if you're watching their videos. Let me know what you think about their style, how they've helped you become a better home barista and so on. I must admit, I've been Hoffmann's student for a while now. He's actually probably the first person that I saw a YouTube video about coffee, and I really enjoy Lance's videos because although he has a newer channel, his channel is growing rapidly and he definitely knows what he's talking about. He has some great videos on how to steam milk, and because obviously he's a world latte art champion, so he definitely knows what he's talking about. But also he's an overall expert in all things coffee. So I really appreciate both of these guys. It just, when it comes to these 2 cups of coffee, I would choose the one where I used James Hoffmann's method. Alrighty, so that's about it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this ultimate V60 battle between 2 world champions. If you enjoyed this video, press the like button, subscribe to the channel, press the bell button, you know, all the good stuff. Also, check us out on social media at TMBean channel on Instagram and Facebook. We also have some equipment links in the description below. We have the 2 videos from James Hoffmann and Lance Hedrick also in the description below. Also, check out our merch on the Teespring website. We have the link in the description below. We have some interesting Gaja Classic t-shirts and hoodies as well. And every time you buy some of our merch, you're supporting our channel and our channel's growth. That's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.